Hello folks, welcome to the first news video of May 2024. A massive thanks to all the new subscribers on the channel. I've got up to 40,000 now, which is a real big deal for me. It's nothing to a lot of people, it's a real big deal for me. I really want to get to 50,000 by the end of the year, so if you're not subscribed yet, please do. As normal, we're looking at Autocar, Auto Express for I think most of today's stories, and we're going to start off with the first one, and it's this: banks told to brace for billions in potential car finance scandal payouts. I think I've touched on this previously, but this story just keeps gathering pace. Banks had these discretionary commission things going on with car dealerships, which meant that, say they lent the dealership the money at 2.5%, they would let the dealership charge anything up to 5%, for example, for that. And that cost went directly onto consumers. This is going to be the next PPI kind of thing, and people are going to be getting a lot of money back that have been fleeced a bit by dealers in the past. So keep your eyes open for stuff on that. Labour to U-turn on 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in Wales after harsh criticism. Welsh Transport Secretary Ken Skates said that 20-mile-an-hour speed limits should remain in place in appropriate areas such as near schools, nurseries and hospitals. He then admitted that in many areas, routes that shouldn't have been included were. Now, on the back of that, look at this. More 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in Glasgow, despite UK government's plan for drivers. Almost 4,000 additional streets in Glasgow will get 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, with introductions set to be phased. So they're not going to do this all at once, but there are already 1,400 streets in Glasgow with 20-mile-an-hour limits, and they can do another 4,000. So you've got Wales saying we've done this and it was a big mistake, and Scotland saying, oh, we'll have more of it. There we go. It should absolutely 20 mile an hour around by schools and particularly dense areas for pedestrians. I've got no problem with it, but in a lot of streets, it's just nuts. What do you think, folks? Let me know in the comments. Record complaints about car repairers blamed on the cost of living crisis by garage watchdog. So this is the Motor Ombudsman. Now, the Motor Ombudsman is a bit of a weird one because from what I can tell, it's a voluntary thing. You can choose to be a member or not. And I think it's a little bit of a muddy area, the whole Motor Ombudsman thing, but never mind, that's perhaps for another video. But check this out, there's been a 35% increase in the number of complaints about garages. Over 1,600 cases about repairs and servicing were reported to its dispute resolution service between the beginning of January and the end of March. But rather than tackle that head on, the Motor Ombudsman Service has said that this is likely a reflection of the sustained financial pressures on consumers and the heightened cost of living, and the growing number of individuals seeking to recoup losses after encountering an issue with their vehicle. In other words, people haven't got any money, so they're trying to screw as much as they can out of garages. And I'm sure there are cases of that, but you have to say, when there's a 35% increase in the number of complaints about servicing and repairs, maybe that's a decent indicator that your members, old chap, are not doing as good a job as they possibly could be. Government says no to new incentives for electric car buyers. A Lords Committee report backing car makers' calls for discounts to boost EV sales falls on deaf ears. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you think the government should be doing more to help people buy EVs, i.e. either giving them a free home charger or a grant to put in a home charger, like an amount of money off a home charger? Should they be giving them money off the car? Should there be further tax incentives? What are your thoughts? Do you think the government's quite right and they shouldn't be giving any incentives? It's a difficult one, this, really, because initially, you know, they went with the carrot approach, which was like, if you buy an electric car, we'll give you $5,000 off it. We'll give you some money off a home charger, all these kind of things. And then they moved over to the stick, and they started saying to manufacturers, you must sell a certain percentage of electric cars now, or we're going to fine you. And to the general public, you won't be able to buy anything but electric cars after this date. I feel like they could introduce a little bit more carrot somehow, somewhere, and they could just do that by investing more in infrastructure for people that can't charge from home. I mean, we've got an electric car and we absolutely love it. It costs bugger all to run. It's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it, but I know that for some people they don't work at the moment, or they feel they don't work. And for a lot of those people, it's because they can't charge at home. Should we not be doing more on that side of things? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm sure they'll be lively. Chinese EV brand GWM Aura responds to insurability woes with the new battery scheme by basically coming up with a way to refurbish and repair their battery packs, and they're going to take that on in-house. Insurers are not very happy with the Funky Cat or the Aura 03, it seems. Now, for a lot of them, it's just purely because there's a lot of uncertainty. Insurance works on having tons and tons of data and history to look back on, and they can work out sort of averages and assign risk accordingly. When something new comes to market, there's a big cloud over it because no one knows anything, and people in insurance don't like putting their finger in the air. They like data, and therefore they're thinking, well, if someone goes into the back of one of these, is the battery going to be a write-off? And those kind of doubts make insurers step away until the questions are answered, basically. So what GWM Aura have done is said, well, actually, we're going to have in-house a team of experts that will help to work with repairers to actually repair battery packs if they're damaged, and if it can't be done by the repairer, we'll actually bring it in-house and do the work ourselves. This is a first step that I think we might see repeated by other Chinese car manufacturers, because this is not going to go away. You know, insurance industry has worked the way it has for hundreds of years, and they're not going to change because some new firm turns up from China. So interesting, and they might just be pioneers on that front. Let's wait and see. New 2024 Cupra Formentor gets a fresh look and power boost to keep hot streak going. This looks great. I really like the look of the current Cupra Formentor, to be honest, but this facelift just gives it a little bit more edge, particularly on the bonnet there. That looks quite a lot more aggressive. I did a review on one a while ago and I adored it, to be honest. Very spicy, 328 horsepower. The plug-in hybrid's going to get 62-mile range. Looks interesting. BYD Sea Lion ready to roar in for 2025 UK launch. The names just get wackier and wackier, don't they, really? We've just had the Beijing Auto Show, so there's a bit coming from that a little bit later on in the video, so I'll skip on for now. BYD Seagull will come to the UK in 2025 to rival the Dacia Spring. This is good news. This is the car that the Dacia Spring should have been, probably. So it's still a very small car. It's still got its limitations, but they're nothing like the Dacia Spring. In China, this is about 8 grand. I think it will be more like 15, 16 when it comes here, but that means it will be right up against the Dacia Spring. The reason it costs so much more here, by the way, import duty, tariffs, VAT, all those kind of things. 252 miles of range and 74 brake horsepower. That's really not as compromised as that Dacia Spring, is it, folks? Looks interesting, and the price will obviously be key on that. Stunning new Ferrari, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that, confirms there's still a place for a big V12. The next chapter in Ferrari's 12-cylinder dynasty, available in coupe and spider forms from launch. This thing looks amazing. Look at that. That reminds me of the old Magnum Ferrari. What was it? Was it the 308? I can't remember. But that looks absolutely amazing. I'm typically not massively into supercars and hypercars, but just occasionally I see one and it floats my boat in a big way, and this one does. So if you're looking for something to get me for Christmas, folks, this will do. Or perhaps that fairly aggro looking mask. Big news recently in F1 is that Adrian Newey's leaving Red Bull next year, actually. There's a lot of rumour that he's going to Ferrari, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But it is massive news in Formula 1. He does seem to be Goldfinger of the F1 world. Whatever he touches seems to turn to gold. But he will now be moving over just purely to work on Red Bull's first hypercar, the RB17. He'll see the V10 powered track car through to completion before he leaves Red Bull. So for those hypercar fans that are willing to pay £5 million for a car, they will still get an Adrian Newey car. First look at the Kia EV6. The full reveal is just weeks away. It looks like it will sport a fresh new look influenced by the 7-seat Kia EV9. Obviously, we also know there's going to be an EV5 at some point, which looks like a shrunken version of the EV9. But I'm excited to see this. I can't wait to see it, actually, because I think the current EV6 is a really good looking car, and if they can improve on that, make it and bring in some of those things from the EV9, I'll be a happy boy. New Kia Picanto facelift is still one of the cheapest cars on sale. Facelifted Picanto city car arrives and it's just 15.5 grand. Great little cars, Picantos. Just do what they say on the tin. Not a ton of sort of bells and whistles and frills, but they generally have everything you need them to have. And I don't think that looks too bad, does it? It certainly looks a lot more modern than the current model. And I think that'll do well over here. New Tesla Model 3 Performance arrives with sub 3 second 0 to 60 time. The range topping performance model comes back to Tesla's Model 3 range. I mean, every fibre in my body wants to drive this car, but what's the point really? I mean, the long range version is more than quick enough for any normal human being. I know they'll sell loads of them, but we are getting to the point with some of the electric car 0 to 60 times that it's just getting a bit daft and it's not really usable in the real world. And you sort of wonder if some people should have that much power at their fingertips or not. No sponsor this week, but I'm going to give a shout out to my good mate Mark from Marked Improvement Headlight Restoration. Mark's down in Kent. He's absolutely brilliant at what he does. He's got, I don't know how many hundred reviews on Google, but his average is 5 stars. That's how good he is. And it will take something like that to that in a few hours, sometimes more than a few hours. And he really goes the extra mile for his clients. So go and check him out. The website is mi-resto.co.uk, or you can give him a bell. Marked Improvement Headlight Restoration. He's also got a little YouTube channel. And I'll put a link to one of his videos up here somewhere, but go and check that out because it's nice and soothing. You just put one of those on and watch a man polish a headlight, and it's far more relaxing and enjoyable than you could possibly imagine. So go and check that out. Now over to Autocar, the software slashing EV charging times without harming batteries. Volvo partners with battery firm to create adaptive tech that controls range improving battery conditions in real time. So Volvo's teamed up with a company called 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙁, and it says it expects 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁 will reduce the time taken to rapid charge its new generation of EVs from 10 to 80% by as much as nearly a third. So it does depend on the kind of battery pack, but has indicated improvements of between 15% and 30%. Already been achieved in testing, which is incredible. Whatever the case, the improvement is significant compared with existing charging techniques. I think we are still at the early days of things here. I know, companies like Tesla have been producing electric cars for a long time, but certain battery technology has moved massively in the last 10 years. But I think in the next 10 years, it's going to go sort of above and beyond. And hopefully one day we'll get to the point where filling up a battery car is as quick as filling up a petrol car. Tesla accelerates production of more affordable electric cars. New EV models will arrive soon, confirms company boss Elon Musk, promising more information on the 8th of August. He's also sacked a load of people this week. I don't know what's going on at Tesla at the moment, but it seems to be bonkers. Obviously, a story came out recently saying they were scrapping the Model 2. What Musk is sort of suggesting here is that maybe it's not, but he's not really touching on that in any sort of concrete way. And if you go and read this story in full, which I suggest you do, read in between the lines. I'm wondering if they're just going to produce cheaper versions of some of the existing models. Maybe there's going to be an entry-level Model 3 and an entry-level Model Y, with 180 miles of range or something. It's very unclear, but the 8th of August might be interesting. The next generation Hyundai Santa Fe will be priced from £46,775 in the UK. Dramatic styling overhaul reflects SUV's billing as family hauler with off-road lifestyle capabilities. They're definitely going after the Jaguar Land Rover market at the moment. It really feels that way, and this design is really quite aggro. I saw this at the LA Auto Show last year and I was pretty bowled over by it, to be honest. It's definitely got a lot of presence and is a lot more memorable than the current Santa Fe in terms of its styling. Really comfortable thing to sit in, nice interior as you can see. I think that will do well here. It will obviously be a little bit of a Chelsea tractor for a lot of people, but as more and more people get worried about their Discos and their Range Rovers getting nicked, maybe things like this will have a bit more of a future. Citron C3 Aircross to be reinvented as a blocky 7-seater with EV. The next generation family crossover is larger and more practical than before. Electric version to come. What do we think of this? It looks like a tight space to get 7 seats in. I must admit, I don't think there'll be any luggage space if you've got all 7 seats up. But it is quite a cool looking thing. This is what we need from the French. We want to see quirky looking things, stylish looking things, different looking things, not cookie cutters. I like that. It looks like it will be the standard Stellantis 1.2 turbo petrol, also a 3-cylinder mild hybrid with a 6-speed dual clutch transmission. The EC3 meanwhile was likely to come with a single motor powertrain with 134 horsepower and almost 250 miles of range. Pricing hasn't been revealed, but it sounds like they want to make it the cheapest 7-seat SUV in the market. That means it needs to undercut the 𝙇𝙄𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇, which starts at $18,300. Ford set to launch a new variant of the Mustang next year. Ford promises the absolute best yet to come as it celebrates the pony car's 60th anniversary. There's their teaser picture, which doesn't tell you much, but this is going to be some insane performance version. Obviously last year we saw that Dark Horse edition, which was amazing. This will probably be my #1 dream car when it comes out, but we'll have to wait and see what that looks like. Polestar hits 370 kilowatts in new extreme fast charging tests. EV maker charged a Polestar 5 prototype from 10 to 80% in 10 minutes, hitting a peak charging speed of 370 kilowatts. We always talk about these peak charging speeds, but we need to look more at the curves. You know, if they get up to that peak charge for 3 seconds, well, fantastic. But if it can stay there for a period of time, that's when batteries are going to start really charging at a rate of knots. One of my lights has just died, but never mind. There are certainly cars at the moment that have a much sort of longer charging curve, much taller charging curve than others, where they sort of go up to a peak and then fall off a cliff. So there's sometimes more to these things than just that headline number, but it's a very impressive headline number, I have to say. Jeep Recon 4x4 primed for 600 brake horsepower EV and hybrid option, hardcore off-roaded to get removable doors and 373 mile range in EV form, but unlikely to be pure ICE. Obviously they've just introduced a petrol version of the Jeep Avenger, but it looks like this one is going to be EV only. That's certainly a cool looking thing, but it is an Autocar sort of generated picture, so it could look like anything when it finally comes out. But Jeep's obviously a brand that's about rugged off-road, you know, outdoors life kind of thing, rather than it is go nip into Tesco. So if it did look like this, I wouldn't be surprised, and I think they'd probably do well with it. And then finally, we're just going to look at the Beijing Motor Show. So this is Autocar's sort of summary of everything we've seen there, and it's a bit of an A to Z of the different cars. I'm just going to whip through a lot of these. The Arc Fox Alpha S5, check that out. Obviously, a lot of these will be only available in Asian markets. Some will come to the UK. This is one that will come to the UK, I'm sure, the Audi Q6L e-tron. This is going to cost, I think, 500 quid less than the Porsche Macan. They're basically the same car. They're obviously sister brands. Now, I've had loads of Audis and I'm generally a big Audi fan. However, would I rather have a Porsche or an Audi for the same amount of money? I'd have the Porsche. Simple as that. So that's an interesting one. I mean, if you go to top spec on that, I think it's something like 94 grand, which is a big ask, is it not? BMW 4 Series facelift looks great from what I've seen. It's got new headlights and new infotainment system in it. Buick Electra LT, I would guess that's just for the US market, maybe China as well. Look at those tiny, tiny little fins there that replace the wing mirrors. That's a cool looking bit of design. They're definitely after the Porsche Taycan market with that, I would say, the Cross Turismo anyway. And look at that roof box on it. Very cool. BYD Ocean M. This is going to be their rival to the ID3, and I think it's going to have 300 horsepower. Denza Z9 GT. Denza is another brand from BYD, and this is their sort of go at a Taycan Turbo S, or possibly an electric Panamera if you're that way inclined. The 𝑥𝑐𝑒08. That's an odd looking thing. The Fangchengbao, bless you. Another BYD owned brand. They had 3 cars on show there, but this is a crazy speed racer kind of thing. Look, just tiny little sort of glass domes there rather than a windscreen of any kind. That looks bonkers. GWM Aura 07, we are going to get that here. The Aura 03 has done quite well, and they are bringing that here. This was originally known as the Lightning Cat, if you remember that. They did the launch at Fully Charged last year, and they didn't yet have a name for the UK market for it, but it's going to be the 07, and a good looking thing, really nice interior, 4.4 seconds to 62. It'll be an interesting car. I'll certainly be interested to drive one. The Honda 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑗 GT concept, is it 𝘼𝙁 or yeah? I don't really know, but yeah, Honda have done all these crazy EV concept cars, and they certainly need to get one into production as quickly as possible to meet that ZEV mandate, don't they? And there's the P7 and the S7. That's a good looking thing. That's interesting. I like that. There's the 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝑉 23. This is another car from Chery, a little bit of a G-Wagon clone or tribute, shall we say. The 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝑉 looks absolutely bananas. The Lamborghini Urus SE, so this is an electric version of the Lamborghini Urus. The Lynk & Co 07. Lynk & Co is owned by Geely, that owns Polestar, etc. The Mazda EZ6, basically electric version of the Mazda 6. Mazda 6 obviously has been scrapped. I always thought it was a brilliant looking thing and a nice car to drive. And the EZ6 certainly looks quite pleasing from what we can see there. The Mengshi M Hunter. There you go. If you want to go hunting M's, then you do it in this Mengshi. That looks like something from Mad Max, doesn't it? It's absolutely bonkers. Mercedes AMG GT 63 SE Performance. That's just a gorgeous looking car. Beautiful thing. 200 grand or more. That's going to be 0-62 in 2.9 seconds. 800 brake horsepower from a 4-litre V8. Woof. Like it. And you've got the new electric Mercedes G-Wagon, which we've seen plenty of on the internet already. MG EXE 181, that's just some bananas concept car. Mini Aceman, that is going to be coming to the UK, of course. I think we can see that quite soon, or relatively soon. Interested to take a look at that. Then we've got the Smart No. 5 concept, which is like a funky little electric off-road thing, which looks quite cool actually. That's got 800-volt architecture as well, which means the battery can charge pretty rapidly. That's already available in things like Kia, Hyundai, Genesis, etc. Toyota BZ3X, the smaller cousin, sister, brother to the BZ4X. Be interested to test one of those when it comes. Toyota are playing a little bit of catch up when it comes to EVs, aren't they? And then the 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙁. This is a step for VW to try and conquer the Chinese market. We've now got European manufacturers seriously trying to make a dent over in China. And this is a very interesting looking thing. Very futuristic, loads of AI features. The Zeekr Mix is a crazy looking thing. So this is a 100% ID Buzz rival. And in fact, in some of their marketing, they've got things like Buzz Off or things along those lines. They're mentioning the Buzz directly, which is unusual. But look at that. Look at the way the doors open. It's absolutely bonkers. Again, it's got 800-volt architecture. And I think it's about time that someone came up with something to rival the ID Buzz, because it doesn't really have any direct competition at the moment. And I think it could do with a bit of competition. You know, competition makes things better. So there we go. That's a little roundup from Beijing for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Help me hit that 50,000 target by the end of the year. Have a great weekend and I'll see you soon.